Welcome to the January edition of From Washington, my special message to our state and tribal delegates. As you know, we've passed through some very interesting times here in Washington since my last message. We recently concluded discussions and negotiations around what was called the physical cliff, and despite the finishing of that specific piece of work, it appears that we're going to have several fiscal cliffs in the future. One dealing with the debt, one dealing with the budget, and one dealing with expenditures. Each of these offers significant challenges to anyone who works with federal funds, but they will be especially important for us. I'm sure that probably you've already noticed that the first fiscal cliff has caused a change in the way that you're going to have to compute your tax rates for Social Security benefits, which will rise. There are other items in the tax bill that will materialize in the next several months. Some of them are positive in terms of the way community and public transportation may be able to access certain kinds of financing, but others will be very difficult for individuals and businesses. This is also the year that many of you will begin experiencing changes in the way you do health insurance because of the Affordable Care Act. So altogether, this will continue to be a challenging year for us, not just as a business, but also as a business that is engaged in providing community and public transportation. Turning to our business side for a minute, in these more difficult times, it's usually a good practice to speak about getting one's fundamentals together. Those of you who are sports fans often hear the term, the team that does well knows its fundamentals. We've been thinking a lot about what's fundamental to our business in the last several months, and what we believe the key to our success in the past and the key to our future success is really built around the innovations that people like you and our members around the country bring to community and public transportation. Innovation is the key to making services more affordable, making services more available, making business decisions that are good returns on the investments that taxpayers and others make in our business. So innovation is an important item for all of us. This year, the association will be focusing on innovation in a variety of ways. If you looked at the last issue of Digital CT, you'll see that we've begun that discussion. And in our next several issues, we hope to focus on different men and women in our industry who are innovative leaders in important things like how services are developed, how policy is developed and implemented, how financing is arranged, and how service decisions are determined, bringing the latest tools and ideas to them that we hope will serve as best practices for all of us in the year ahead. As part of the upcoming Expo in Albuquerque this year, which will take place in early June, we'll also be highlighting innovation and the way people in our business make practical decisions that are of benefit to them and the communities they call home. We're hoping that you and all of the other people in our state that are our members will join us in this exciting expo in Albuquerque. Clearly, we believe that it's time that we brought forward that discussion about innovation because we're all going to need that in the next several months and years to maintain the positions that we have in providing mobility and also to look for ways that we can expand them as well. Speaking of Expo, as I said, we like to say that every expo about this time of the year that we begin to unroll for people is in fact an opportunity to be our best expo. And that's true this year too. If you go to our website at www.ctaa.org, you'll already find an outline of the expo that we think will be memorable to you this year. With one click, you can reach the registration, you can select courses, you can decide what other events to take, and you can also look up your hotel reservations and make them so that you can get the best price early. So I would urge all of you to consider looking at that registration site now, and to urge you to look at sharing that information, not just with our members, but others that you know who need to understand how important community and public transportation is to the worlds in which they work, whether they be people in economic development or healthcare or in jobs. We need to have them as part of our Expo attendance this year too, because it creates the kind of possibilities for networking that Expo is really all about. This year's family gathering between the state and tribal delegates, the board, our staff, and special guest will occur, as it usually does, early in the Expo week. We plan to devote a considerable amount of that discussion to talking about innovation and new ideas, not just as it relates to what we do as an association, but how we develop policy in the coming struggles legislatively and politically. So again, I want to urge you to plan to get your reservations and attend early. At my next From Washington, in about 6 weeks, we'll be laying out some of the things that we would like you to consider bringing to the meeting for our discussion of innovation and new ideas. But until then, I hope you'll let us know what's going on in your communities that's important as we begin to look at the legislative and political priorities of the association. And finally, I hope that all of you are following legislative and political developments here in Washington by signing up and participating actively in Fast Mail. As state and tribal delegates, Fast Mail is really a two-way street for you, because you can send me back at marsico@ctaa.org ideas and concerns that you read on there, so we're up to date with what your thinking is as well. So I hope that the new year has begun for you in a positive way. This will be a year, as it has been for the last several, hard and challenging work, but we know that by working together, we're going to do well for community and public transit everywhere in the United States. So please have a good month, and I'll be in touch with you about what we'd like you to do in preparation for Expo very soon. Thanks, goodbye, and let me hear from you.